Good morning. It's another day in the shop. Welcome back. Dave here. Uh, what a day. It's kind of exciting to keep moving forward on this Box 100 project. Excited to be here. Excited to have you guys riding along with me. Uh, it's taken more pieces of wood out of the clamps that I've got. I've got this fancy little remote here. Still trying to figure all this stuff out. Uh, I'll get it. Just bear with me. I'll do my best to make some adjustments so that we can kind of see what we're doing. Um, like I said, should be another fun day. Let's see if I can get this to tilt just a little bit more down so we can see what we're up to. What we got here is a whole big mess of bits and pieces that are in these clamps. So I'm gonna unclamp the individual. Well, they're not individual; they're doubled up pieces. I'm gonna take all these clamps apart, stack them up, and hang them on the clamp rack when I'm done, and see what it looks like when it's all laying down. You see on these pieces, I've got tape. Each one of these tapes got a number on them. So we'll put them in order, see what it's all going to look like. So that's kind of on the agenda for today. The other thing I need to do is I've got some boxes that are done that I'm going to deliver tomorrow. Today is Tuesday. So I'm going to take them over to my friend over in Wisconsin, and they're going to end up as gifts to him and his boys because they are made from the wood that he gave me, that my buddy gave me, that his son actually gave him. We were going to possibly use it as kindling up at the hunting shack up in northern Minnesota. But he thought, oh, this is such nice wood that maybe I know a guy who makes boxes out of wood. Maybe we can have him use it to make boxes. Now he's not expecting these to return to him as boxes. So it'll be kind of a surprise to him, which is always kind of a nice thing to do. Anyway, so they are now, get this one to release, they are now glued up and put in the order that I ultimately want them in. And I have to say I'm pretty pleased with how this is all kind of shaken out. Now they're really not very even on the bottoms yet, so they're kind of rocking in spot. I did clean the tops a little bit when I put them into the clamps, but I did not clean the bottoms up. So that's going to be the first order of business. I'll get my chisel out and I'll scrape some of this glue off. Then I have to decide, am I going to put them in maybe in groups of 3, and I'll glue these up, clean the edges up a little bit, get the glue off of what I can. Then I'll end up with 4 groupings that are glued together. Then I'll have to decide tomorrow. Maybe I'll put them in. I'll end up with 2 groups, and then the last thing I'll do is they won't slide because the glue on the bottom. Then I'll end up with 2. So that's, I don't know. I think that's kind of the plan. Somewhere under here is my remote control. It'll give me an opportunity to kind of get back into the frame. I still haven't quite figured out why this thing won't quite. There we go. See, I like to tell people, this is the first day with the new hands. So I'm going to tilt this down so that you get an opportunity to see exactly what this might actually look like. If I can figure this remote control out. So I'll turn this whole mess so that you kind of get a little bit better picture of what it's going to look like. So what happens once it's glued is I end up cutting off, I'll call it the tips and the tails. So I'll have one solid board to work with. And then what I'll do with that is I'll cut it in half, because I'll end up with one solid board that's roughly 29 inches by 9.5 inches. And then I'm going to cut it in half, so I'll end up with 2 boards that are 29 inches by about 4.5, depending on how much I lose to the kerf of the saw blade. Then, of course, from there, then we start actually constructing the box. Because then I've got basically 2 boards. Because what I've been doing the last few days is basically making a board. I'm making a single board to work with. And that's the whole idea behind it, is to ultimately end up making what amounts to a single board. And from that, oops, wrong direction. From that, I'll start constructing the box. I'm going to end up with mitered corners, a solid bottom that I'll make out of a 1/4-inch plywood. And then I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with the top. Am I going to make a top that has a hinge on it? Am I going to make a top that has just a top that you remove? Am I going to put a sliding top in? And if I'm going to put a sliding top in, is it going to be flush on the top, or is it going to be recessed 1/4 of an inch and have that sliding in from the side? I haven't figured all that out. I'm kind of doing this, playing it by ear as we go along. However, it's going to turn out, and it'll turn out beautiful. I hope. I think so. Based on the amount of work that's already been invested in this, with milling up the strips, determining the width of those, and I would change it from 1.25 inches to either a 1 inch or 1.5 inches, as opposed to 1.25 inches. And that it has to do with how the angles work out on in the way the boards match up. So you kind of, honestly, I'm learning while I'm going along of the things that I should do, and more importantly, I'm learning the things that I should change. I can't say there are things that you shouldn't do, because there's always a workaround. So it's going to turn out right. but again, based on how much work I've already put into milling all the wood, gluing it all up, cutting it all up, gluing it all up, only to glue up some more. Oh, the stupid thing. It's just so irritating. I'm going to stop the recording now. Sorry I got interrupted. Where was I? I was talking about the effort that's put in to doing all the milling, gluing up the pieces once the individuals are glued, and then now I've got 12 pieces that I'm going to glue again. That's another day because I let my stuff dry overnight. And I'm going to glue them into 3 pieces. That's another day, and I'm going to glue them into another one. Now I've got other things that I can do. I'm gonna once I get done gluing these, cleaning these up and gluing these up, I've got some boxes in these totes are filled with more boxes. So inside these boxes are the boxes I'm going to give to my buddy tomorrow. So I'm going to take those out. They've been treated with the beeswax and mineral oil as a finish. I put a product called Odie's oil on the tops just to see a comparison between how the beeswax and mineral oil and the Odie's oil compares to a finish. And then I'm going to put kind of a hard wax on all of them. Just it doesn't do much to help protect the wood from scratches, dents, dings, those kinds of things. But it does protect the finish itself. It'll stop water and those types of things. So anyway, I'm going to put some wax on those before, and it'll give it a little bit more of a sheen. And so I've got other things to do while this stuff goes on. Plus, I have to make box number 99. This is box 100. I've got obviously 98 is sitting in the bin behind me. So I've got that to do. I've got on the wall over my shoulder here on the door a bunch of pipe clamps that I just don't use pipe clamps anymore. I'm not making projects big enough to warrant those kinds of clamps, so I'm going to donate them to the school where my grandkids are going. They do got a nice wood shop, so I told the individual over there that I would bring those pipe clamps over and donate those. So there's always something to do, but the question is, would I do this kind of a project again? At this particular point, I'm pretty sure that I will. I just don't know when. I've got enough of the exotic woods. I love working with exotic woods. You all know that. I've said that many times before. You just don't get the kinds of coloration that you see with domestic woods. Domestic woods are fine. I do work with domestic woods. I like working with them. More readily available and certainly less expensive. But the beauty of the coloration in the exotic woods is something to behold. This is not going to be a cheap box to make. I don't really, well, I guess I don't talk too much about what I spend on the boxes because, well, I just don't. But I will say that the woods that are in this box, particularly the Purple Heart, the Canary Wood, and the Padauk, are and the Leopard Wood, expensive boards, expensive pieces of lumber. I've got well over $100 worth of material in this box, material that I had to buy in order to make this box. I suppose spread out over a couple of boxes. Of course, that lessens the cost. Any businessman understands that. But regardless, that's all I got to say for today. I got a lot of work to do today and all day to get it done. Don't worry, I'll take my breaks probably more often than I should, and that's okay. It's my prerogative. I'm the boss, I'm the worker. Sometimes the boss isn't too happy with me. Other times the worker is just happy to show up, put in a good day's work of 4, 5, 6 hours. So that's plenty for an old guy. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful, blessed day, because I'm going to have a terrific day. And the good Lord blessed me with one more wake up, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So have a terrific day. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.